You're playing a level 11 character in a Pathfinder 2e game, and you have to climb a mountain range that you're pretty sure you've climbed way earlier in the campaign, and you're also certain you remember the DC to climb this mountain range being 16 when you last climbed it. But now, as you retread the same exact path, suddenly the DC is 28? The mountain's the same, so what has changed? Hey everyone, Utkarsh from Spirit Bell Games here. This video is a discussion about fixed DCs and level-based DCs. In Pathfinder 2nd Edition, when facing a challenge that could be resolved with a skill, the GM sets a difficulty class, a DC. And there are two ways to set this difficulty class. One is based on the realism of the world and where the task fits in among other tasks in this world. And the other option is a level-based DC, which is to look at the level that the players have and then go look up the standard DC appropriate to that level and make any adjustments, such as making it slightly easier or slightly harder or very easy or very hard based off of that DC. Clearly what has happened in that case, in the case of the mountain, is that when the players were level 2 and going over this mountain range, the GM set a DC of 16, which is a standard level DC for characters of level 2. But now, when they're going back over the same mountain while at level 11, the DC has been changed to 28, which is the standard level DC of players that are level 11. This is immersion breaking and hurts the game feel. Now, of course, this is a very stark example. It's rare to have the exact same challenge come up again later in the adventure, but often what happens is when the GM relies heavily on standard DCs, that the players get this sense of treadmilling, like they're trying to climb up an escalator that is going down at the exact same rate with which they're climbing up. All the challenges feel just the same level with the same or similar difficulty and success chance as they did when they were at lower levels, because even though they are getting better, their numbers are getting higher, the challenges also are increasing and keeping pace. Now, it's understandable why GMs use a lot of standard DCs, and it's not just GMs, adventure designers too tend to lean heavily on level appropriate DCs. They want that tension to exist and be appropriate for whatever level they expect the players to be. So trying to create this tense but doable situation where heavy invested could be rewarded with a small chance of critical success, and very low investment is punished with potential probability of critical failure. This is why it's easy to rely on standard DC for a level, but it is immersion breaking and it hurts game feel. Allow me to make the case for using fixed DCs more frequently in your games. So first up, greater verisimilitude. There's a greater sense of being immersed in the world if that mountain that you're about to scale at level 1 is DC 20, so it's a tough challenge, not one that the party can easily scale. But when you're coming back at level 11, it remains DC 20. The players have changed, and so the next advantage is that the progression that players receive by their numbers increasing is clear and obvious. Also, fixed DCs shine more of a light onto the 4 degrees of success when going up against a high fixed DC. Critical failure is spotlit, and then at higher levels, when going up against much lower fixed DCs, critical success gets the spotlight. Things like athletics checks to swim or climb, their critical success outcomes don't come up frequently if the GM is relying mostly on standard or level-based DCs, but they can come up quite a bit if you're running higher level adventures and you used fixed DCs. Now, the game tries to make it easy for you to use fixed DCs because under different skill actions, it lists scenarios where different fixed DCs are applicable. For example, the force open skill action that relies on athletics, the untrained DC, so a DC 10 could be used to break open fabric or flimsy glass, whereas you need a DC 30 to break open a sturdy wooden door or an iron portcullis. Now, I wish that these kind of guidelines were more prevalent, but they do exist. They are in the game, and for various different skills, the GM can find them and set the DCs in the world according to the realism instead of the level of the players. Of course, fixed DCs do have their downsides. The biggest one is that at lower levels, there's very little chance of success for going up against a fixed DC that is high. And so this can create frustration. It doesn't need to create frustration. It only creates frustration if you block the critical paths with high level DCs. What I recommend is to have optional offshoots from the main critical path. Now these offshoots could be physical in a dungeon, or they could be more abstract, like in an investigation, where you highlight these high DC options even at low levels to showcase that these are challenges that you can overcome when you get to higher levels. If you are higher level, you could beat this. And then when the players are high level, to also have these offshoots and optional content gated behind low level fixed DCs to showcase how far the players have come. So my recommendation is to use a mix of both. It's not to exclusively use fixed DCs, but it's also not to just rely on the ease of level-based DCs. Try and mix them up. At low levels, show players the options of very high-level challenges, and then at high levels, let them reflect on low-level challenges by giving them low-level, untrained or trained DCs. Now there's a related concept that I will talk about, which is tiers of play. Let me know your thoughts on using fixed DCs versus level-based DCs. For now, this is me signing off, wishing you all engaging game.